I anticipated this product for so long. I was so excited, and when we first heard that this was coming out, and it was being developed, I was just, I wasn't just thinking about my office. I was thinking about across the campus. How are we going to use this?
Welcome to Focus, a podcast dedicated to the business of higher education. I'm your host, Heather Richmond, and we will be exploring the challenges and opportunities facing today's higher learning institutions. Today, I am joined by Kevin Smith from Canisius University to discuss how the recent launch of Student Account Advisor expanded the reach of their one-stop shop, evolving their approach to advising students. Hi, Kevin. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I am so excited to hear about all that's happening at Canisius University.
Hi, Heather. Thank you for having me.
Well, and speaking of the word university, that's fairly new. Can you tell us a little bit about the transition from Canisius College to university?
Sure. It went really well. It was really exciting here at Canisius to have this name change. A lot of work, though, across campus, name changes, system changes, a lot of changes, but really went well. It became official on August 1st.
Okay.
And many schools in New York State have made this change lately. A New York State Department of Education requirement changed on who could be called a college, who could be called a university.
Okay.
And since that change happened, a lot of institutions changed to university, and it really has allowed us to rebrand, create new logos, and rebrand the institution, and as well as help recruit international students.
Yeah, that's great. But again, for the marketing side, that just means a lot of new swag, doesn't it?
It does. I don't know what to do with all the old stuff, though, but that's okay.
That's how later people will be able to recognize how the tenured folks versus the ones who are new.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Kevin, you and I, we've known each other for a really long time, but so it's not everybody knows the Kevin Smith. Let's talk a little bit about your background.
Sure. And a little bit about Canisius as well.
Sure.
Canisius is located in a residential neighborhood outside of downtown Buffalo. We're a private four-year liberal arts institution with graduate programs in business, education, and physician's assistant. We are one of the 27 Jesuit institutions, which makes us proud. A lot of tradition there.
Yeah.
And our enrollment right now is right around 2,700 students. We have about 1,900 undergrad and 800 graduate students.
Okay.
I've been here at Canisius for 28 years.
Wow.
And 20 as director of student accounts, and the last 8 years as, get ready for this, assistant vice president and director of student records and financial services. That's our one-stop shop for financial aid, student accounts, and records and registration.
Well, that's why you have all those ampersand signs in there.
That's right.
That's great. Well, again, we've worked together so long because Canisius has been a TouchNet client for so long. And it's really been exciting for us, I know, to be part of your transformational journey and just seeing that evolution. So let's talk a little bit about all the solutions that you have at TouchNet and kind of that journey.
Sure. Yeah, it's been a great partnership. We started back in 2001 when we went live with Banner.
Okay.
We implemented the accepting of credit cards and the payment gateway back then. And then in 2006, we 2006, we implemented cashiering, the bill payment suite, which includes e-bills, e-refunds, authorized users, payment plans. We also implemented Marketplace, which gave us the ability to create online stores and new pay sites. And then, so that was about 2006.
Okay.
And then in about 2 years ago, we added the ACH validation product, which we, needed to do for regulations. And that was a huge help that TouchNet had that piece that we could add on to satisfy that requirement.
Right.
And then just, half year or so ago, we implemented the Student Account Advisor, which we were really excited about.
That is exciting. So yes, the latest and greatest. And I know we've talked a lot in TouchNet about Student Account Advisor and just how that's going to really transform and some of the,
like you said, the one-stop shops and all these different areas and how you're changing on campus and really having the tool to go along with that. So let's talk about Student Advisor, and it's about 6 months in. So how's that going?
Yeah, we love it, and my staff loves it. As I mentioned earlier, we converted into a one-stop shop in around 2017.
Okay.
And the Student Account Advisor was just that last piece, kind of that perfect addition to bring it all together. So it was, something that I've, heard about that was coming out for the last, couple of years. And I was really excited to be able to implement that as soon as possible.
Well, it's great. And again, like you said, it just really goes along with how we originally concepted of having the one-stop shop as physical on-campus location. But then what we saw was there really wasn't a tool that matched that, because even though you have the one-stop shop, your cashiers or others would have to go to 3 different screens. Like, oh, I have to go look at financial aid and Banner, but I have to look at the payment and TouchNet, and I have to go over here to see card information. So really seeing that all come together and have a tool for it, that is exciting. But the word one-stop shop means something different, I've noticed over the last few years at different universities. So can you talk a little bit about what it means on your campus and then how you're expanding that?
Sure. Yeah, it really simplified the student transaction for our office, for, the Student Records and Financial Service Center to start with. It simplified the transaction. It created a true one-stop shop experience that enabled the users to assist students and parents when discussing financial aid, student accounts, and academic data points that are crucial in a student's success. It pulls information from all different platforms, which was a big plus. So it pulls information from your SIS system. So whether that's Banner, whatever, we use Banner. So it pulls information from Banner, all different areas of Banner.
Okay.
The financial aid area, the student accounts area, the academic registration area, as well as pulls information from the TouchNet systems, bill payment suite, things like that. It pulls all that information into a clear, concise solution. So it's a great tool. We found it to be a great tool that improves the student experience, the student engagement, and helps with student retention as well. And the staff, in our office, it really simplified it for them, because they were going into multiple screens looking at this information. And even within Banner, you're going into the financial aid screen, you're going into the student account screens, academic screens, and, to remember to give everyone access to all these screens and to give them access as a look only, as an update only, what screens have sensitive information on it. So then you got to limit those screens. It really gets a little complicated. So with this product, it, pulls all that information on one screen, doesn't pull any of the sensitive information. And you also have authorization control too within Student, where you could give certain people more access than others. So it really has helped the staff not have to look at so many screens for the same information.
That's wonderful. And again, I think, like you said, the goal was obviously to simplify for the student experience in terms of having a central one-stop shop, but then having the benefit of centralizing it all for your staff. That's just a win-win across the board.
Right. Yeah, it's been great. They love it.
That's awesome. So now you've been using it for a few months and getting everybody up to speed. What have you found to be most surprising?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I think about what has surprised me about the product, I anticipated this product for so long. I was so excited, and when we first heard that this was coming out and it was being developed, I was just, I wasn't just thinking about my office. I was thinking about across the campus.
Okay.
How are we going to use this? And I'd been part of the student retention committee here at Canisius for many years. So I'm always thinking about, student success, student retention, and how we can improve that across campus. So when I thought about this and I envisioned it being used beyond the physical virtual one-stop here in my area, student services is always skeptical about providing outside offices with access to student account or financial aid data because of the sensitive nature of the data. And I envision this, okay, this is something we could really push out to other offices across campus and help them help the students.
Yeah, that's such interesting perspective because obviously as we're building technology, we're thinking of all the different use cases, and we were really kind of focused in on how to provide a tool for the one-stop shop. And especially then, after the pandemic and we started seeing the one-stop shop concept be virtual, like, oh, then you definitely need a tool to support that. But thinking beyond that one-stop shop or even beyond the business office, that's definitely a use case I hadn't thought about before. And you've really taken advantage of that. So I'm super excited to talk about that. So let's kind of dive into how are you expanding across campus?
Yeah, it's my expansion plan, I call it here. So we obviously started in the one-stop shop, but even I think other campuses that have one-stop shops, you don't always give everyone in your one-stop shop access to everything.
Okay.
So we sometimes have a set of, maybe depending on how big you are, 4 or 5 or 6 people who are interacting with students on a regular basis. You want them to kind of have access to, many different forms, a lot of different information, so they can assist as best they can with some of the initial questions that a student might have. So you want to have that information available to them, right there in front of them so they can assist with those questions. And then some of the others in the office, maybe the back part of the office, may not have had access to all this information.
Okay.
Because they were only, mainly working on student accounts, mainly working on financial aid responsibilities or records and registration responsibilities.
Sure.
So, we often didn't take the time to give them access. Someone who was mainly working on financial aid, do we really need to give them access to all the student account screens and things like that? So
Right.
we really didn't go through that. But here, the first thing we did, we gave everybody access to this. And going back a little bit, we wouldn't give everyone access like the bill payment suite because, everyone didn't need to know, was an authorized user set up? Were they on a payment plan?
Right.
Some of the back office people didn't really need to know that. But with this product, it's so easy to give everyone access to it that then everyone can see all of this information. So, if someone who usually works with someone on financial aid items, they can quickly see, is their bill paid? Are they on a payment plan? Those
Okay.
type of things can be easily looked at and then they can help them. So that was kind of the first thing. Make sure everyone here in the center had access,
Right.
knew how to navigate through it. And then we went to our Griff Center,
Okay.
which is our one-stop shop for advising, tutoring, mentoring, career success, coaching. Many of them meet students one-on-one on a regular basis, ongoing. And we thought it was important to give them access as well, which we never would give them access to a banner financial aid screen.
Of
or
course.
something like that before. But now, now we can, and they can then better help the student as they're sitting down with them, whether they're advising them on registration for the next semester or the students having maybe just some issues academically, as they're meeting with them, they can kind of look at student account advisor and, if there are any red flags there, are there any holds? Are there any balances?
Yeah.
Even though the student may not have come in to talk about that, they can, kind of bring those things up to the student.
Sure.
And they're kind of an extension of our office where they can then say, did you know you have a hold? Did you know you have a balance?
Yeah.
You're not going to register. So then, then there's just another touch point. The students often ignore our emails, our communications, but
Yeah.
hopefully they won't ignore, someone's sitting in front of them saying, you should go talk to someone about that hold.
Yeah, I would say also kind of continues that student experience where it's all about personalization. And so if you're sitting there face to face and I know things about you or I know things about your account as it just helps to be like,
Yeah.
oh, you actually know about me and you care about me. And I think that actually helps to improve the student experience too, don't you think?
Yes. And we have we have a motto here. It's kind of cura personalis. It's kind of, helping the whole person. So,
Okay.
it's just not my job just to help them with, their bill or financial aid, while you're talking to them, what else is, a concern or an issue that you can help them with. So the Griff Center was, we've done the training there. And then next I trained a couple directors of some of our specialty co-op programs. And these, we have a couple programs, undergraduate programs, an opportunity program within New York State. So a couple of these programs really have built into the program is mentoring and one-on-one advising.
Okay.
Just to make sure these students can be successful. So, I looked at any program that had a lot of contact with students, and these two programs were met that criteria. So I trained the directors of those two programs because they're meeting with these students ongoing. So it can only help, again, when they're meeting with the students on academic or some other situation, that they can see the full picture of the student. So that was next. And then I'm looking, I haven't done this yet, but next will be associate deans.
Okay.
Our associate deans on campus meet with students. It's usually kind of a, maybe they met with their advisor or chair, and now they have to meet with their associate dean about something. It could be an academic probation. It could be many issues. And we thought that it would be great for them to have this product so they could see, as they're talking to a student maybe about academic probation, what's their financial aid situation, what's their student account situation. And, that could play into what type of decisions are made or what type of plan is made with that student to make them, be successful and academically, financially, and be able to, be retained and stay on campus.
Yeah, that's really smart. And I think your approach of saying, as I'm identifying across campus, who has the most contact with students and how do we help them? And I think probably it also helps to, even within the departments, to feel like you're more unified. And I know a lot of times, it's like, oh, the financial aid officer, oh, the athletics officer, whatever, we don't talk. And having this single tool and saying, hey, I want to train you on this to make sure we have a better student experience, probably really brings some good collaboration between the different departments on campus, wouldn't you think?
It does. And I chair it's called the Academic Affairs Working Group, and we meet every 2 weeks, and we bring people from directors from academic programs, associate deans, financial aid, kind of a group across campus together where we kind of talk about these things and how we can better assist the students. And, so that whole group will have access to the student accounts advisor as well. And it's, again, it's just an effort to, see the whole student and the system to be, successful.
That's great. So now these other groups you've expanded, and some groups are been actively using student account advisor. What are they finding the most valuable?
Yeah, I think many of you have maybe heard this. It's, student success or student retention is not just one officer's responsibility these days. It's everyone's responsibility across, our campuses. And then, another piece of this, I've always heard too, is that to retain a student, it's cheaper to retain a student than it is to recruit a new one.
Absolutely.
And there are a few, many of us are going through recruiter enrollment declines because of the demographics and all that, especially in the Northeast.
Sure.
It's very important then, because we're not going to be able to enroll as many students, we're going to have to retain more.
Exactly.
So retention success is very important. So advisor enables these offices to support the students, where the student is and as best as possible. Like I mentioned earlier, they can see, why a student might not be registered. They have a hold. Do they have a balance? Did they miss their last payment on their payment plan?
Okay.
It shows authorized users. So, if a student, you're having a conversation with a student about mom or dad or someone, and the advisor can kind of look in the system and say, well, you don't have any authorized users set up. Maybe set them up as an authorized user. That might help them view the bill or view the account and help make payments
Right.
on the account and be able to assist. So it's kind of giving those students just a kind of a push to help them along there. So I think that's what has been most valuable with kind of pushing it out across campus.
Yeah, that's great. And so I want to flip back to you because you've now expanded this across campus, but I'm going to assume that there's really probably been a lot of benefits to student financial services in general and how they're managed. So by having other offices and leaders being able to be able to see the student account, what have you really seen the benefit for your office?
Yeah, it really has. And it just the referrals back to our office.
Okay.
We don't have to, they will at some point, if they see something, they'll at least can tell the student what the situation is. You have a hold, this is the hold type, now you have that information to go back to the Student Records and Financial Services Center to talk to them.
Okay.
And you have that piece of information in hand. You're not just, students aren't just showing up and not knowing, what they need.
Right.
And at least someone, and often what we've done here at Canisius is, depending on the location, a lot of staff in these offices will even walk a student down to our office.
Okay.
And kind of hand them off to us and let them know that, we were meeting with the student. We noticed, this balance. We noticed this piece of financial aid hasn't been applied to the student account yet.
Okay.
And they were just wanted to know why or, what they needed. Maybe it was a piece of missing information that we still needed to get so we can disperse the financial aid. So it really has both allowed other offices to answer some of our basic questions to students and to give the students more information to come with when they have to come to our office.
Almost like having a human bot, some of those easy questions can be answered by somebody else before they come to you.
And offices don't mind, we all are doing more with less and all that, but offices don't mind just another tool to help the students. You're not asking other offices to do your work for you. You're just giving them another tool, access to more information to help the student.
Absolutely. But with every tool, there is probably some training that has to happen. And I know you've already set up some great training programs. So let's talk about how are you training to be able to use this new tool?
Yeah, it's actually, so we've done some Zoom or in-person training I've done with these other offices, and it's really simplified things. It's one product, easy to navigate between, tabs. You're just clicking through student information.
Right.
You can't break anything. You can't change anything, update anything. You're not going to hurt anything. You're not going to affect any, banner information or, any saved information within bill payments.
Sure.
And, much easier to train than to train on all the possible different banner screens.
Exactly.
How to navigate each of the banner screens, what information, can be viewed. And like we said earlier, there are, with any of the banner screens, there are often, the information that we want to share, there's often a piece of information on there that is sensitive.
Sure.
Or maybe one click away from that screen, under the tools section or under, the section that enables you to bounce back and forth between forms may have some sensitive information.
Okay.
So, so this kind of eliminates that issue of the sensitive information piece. And then if you wanted to give, others access to some of the online student account, the bill payment information, that was a whole nother system that you had to train someone on.
Right.
So, by having it all pulled into one platform has really simplified it for us and others on campus.
Yeah, that's great. I know when we were talking originally, Kevin, in my mind, it was almost providing the you can look but you can't touch methodology within Advisor, because you're right. If you give access, you have to be really careful of Who are you giving access to? Is it, is there view only mode, or in some instances you can't, designate that. So all of a sudden you've given access to edit something that you maybe didn't want anybody doing, but be able to see that information and really advise the student. That's the whole point of Advisor.
That's right.
That's awesome. Well, I know part of Advisor also has the ability, once you've had this conversation with the student, to be able to communicate back and kind of send here's a recap of our conversation. So you're new to this. I'm not sure if you've been able to take advantage of the communications piece yet or not.
Yeah, it was, again, another piece of it that was exciting to have. We do have a homegrown system that does more academic, doesn't include any financial aid or student account information. So it was a homegrown kind of platform to assist with the academic advising of students. And with that platform, they built a communication module within it, which helps communicate to students. But I think with this system, so we kind of have that, but the idea is to then kind of move away from the homegrown system and utilize Student Advisor more. And what I like about that system and what Student Advisor can do, because they can both do the same thing, is you can create templates of messages. So the different areas you may have given access to Student Advisor to can create specific templates of, an email you send out to students on a regular basis, and you can create that template. And then, while you're viewing that student, you can easily click on that template and, shoot an email to that student real time, right away. And then it saves that communication too. So you could see what communications you've sent out to that student.
Great.
And you could always, on the fly, create a new communication and send it out as well. But just having, the place that you can do that right when you're viewing the student in the same system, it saves it, it's all right there. And then you can go back to it and see what you've sent the student, is a huge benefit to, just outreach to students.
Of course.
And because they can never get too many communications.
Now we can only figure out the tool to make them read it.
Read it. That's right. I can't wait till you can just figure that out.
Okay, yeah, that's next on the list. Add it to the roadmap. That's awesome. Well, I would say especially because how you're using Advisor, which is so cool and unique, and having the different departments, tying that to the template so that, again, it feels like, I was over here and got information, and when I get the communication, it's from that same group. So it ties it all together, again, back to a better student experience, right?
That's right.
That's great. Well, Kevin, I just am blown away. I cannot believe that you've only had this really up and going for half a year, and everything that you've done and expanding it across campus. That's awesome. So, but you're just getting started.
That's right. Yeah, we'll keep training, and we'll keep pushing out to other offices. We're excited with Student Advisor that cashiering is a piece of it, or will be soon.
Right.
We don't have that piece implemented, but that's just one other piece of another platform that can be incorporated into Student Advisor cashiering. So then our cashiers, that's one less system our cashiers need to go into. So we're excited about that, and then just keep rolling it out to other offices. So just continuing to think, what other offices on campus or what other staff on campus interact with students on a regular basis and could, benefit from this product. So, I think about residence life. They're often meeting with students about housing situations. So, it might be beneficial to them. Maybe academic advisors, depending on, each institution's set up a little bit different on academic advisors. Sometimes you have a advisement center, but you also have often a academic advisor within their major.
Okay.
So then we start rolling that out to advisors in academic departments. Would probably be the next step.
That would be great. That kind of starts to bridge that gap. A lot of times it's been very siloed. Like, this is academic side of the house, this is business side of the house, and look at you integrating the two sides.
Yeah.
That is great. Well, I'm sure that everybody listening is going, wow, I need to do that too. So anybody who's thinking about replicating what you've done, any advice that you have for them?
Yeah, I would think overall, like we talked about earlier, the importance of student success and retention. I think each of us needs to do as much as we can for each student each time we meet and talk with them. So,
Absolutely.
Addressed as many situations, issues the students may have in kind of one stop when you're meeting or talking with them. And to cut down on, referring students to other offices because, you don't have the tools in front of you to help them. And so I think, student advisor really helps to solve that problem.
That's awesome. Well, Kevin, this has been so great. We could keep talking all day long about this. I love, just hearing how you not only had a new solution, but already are maximizing its use across campus and looking for new ways. So thank you again so much for sharing with our audience.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Focus. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the business of higher education. For more information, check us out at TouchNet.com.